Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the applause. It's very special to be here because a few years ago I was in France in lower division, and to be here with to receive this kind of.
Just a few years ago, N'Golo Kanté was an unknown in the football world, playing in the lower divisions of France. About 5 years ago, he wasn't even a professional footballer, and the idea of receiving major awards, sharing lists with some of the world's top players, seemed unreachable for him. In 2018, less than 2 months after winning the World Cup with France, Kanté experienced something that reveals much about his humble character. After a Premier League match, he tried to catch a train to visit his family in Paris but missed it. Instead of giving in to frustration, he searched for the nearest mosque on his phone and went there to pray. The act of going to the mosque to pray is not surprising for someone with Kanté's values. However, what happened next is a testament to his simplicity. Some young people, recognizing him, mustered up the courage to invite him to dinner at their home. Against all odds, Kanté accepted the invitation. An hour later, the same man who humbles the best players in the world on the field was in these young men's living room, eating curry and playing FIFA like any ordinary person. This behavior reflects how Kanté views life. He never imagined he could become a football superstar. At a time when the sport is full of young prodigies who seem destined to win the Ballon d'Or before turning 20, Kanté, at almost 23, was still trying to become an accountant. It had been like that his whole life. In 1998, while all of France celebrated their World Cup victory, Kanté was wandering the streets with his father, collecting metal cans and glass bottles to exchange for money at a recycling center. Young Kanté faced more challenges when his father passed away when he was just 11 years old, further complicating the situation for him and his 8 siblings. Despite the tragedy, Kanté continued collecting garbage on his own, doubling the distance he walked on his route to make up for his father's absence. He had already been playing for a small football club for about 3 years, but his short stature made him stand out, not always in the desired way. Although he could do all the work on the field, he was often left on the sidelines while his teammates celebrated, invisible to the scouts searching for the next Neymar. His shyness didn't help his cause at Caen, an attempt to advance his career. Kanté tried his luck at the famous Clairefontaine Academy, which has produced talents like Thierry Henry and Kylian Mbappé, but he was rejected. Even though scouts considered him an average player, those who saw him train every day knew Kanté was special. At 16, he was promoted to the first team of his club in the 3rd division of France. 3 years later, not only had he impressed everyone, but he also led the team to a cup trophy, defeating a team playing 4 levels above them. By that time, it was already said that Kanté had the ability to take on entire teams by himself. However, his talent seemed to be going to waste, with no real offers on the table. The president of his small club decided it was his mission to ensure Kanté got the opportunity he deserved. For months, he picked up Kanté in his car and took him from club to club, begging for a chance for him to in a surreal turn of events. He even sought the help of Arsène Wenger, who was managing Arsenal at the time and was a close friend. Although Wenger was too busy to pay attention to the request, years later he admitted that, apart from Cristiano Ronaldo, Kanté was the only player whose transfer he regretted not securing. Finally, after many rejections, a League 2 club, SM Caen, allowed Kanté to join them for a trial. During his trial with SM Caen, Kanté impressed right from the start. One of the physical tests they conducted was a long-distance run. As a staff member explained, Kanté shattered all time records from the moment he arrived. It wouldn't have been hard to convince someone that he was an Olympic marathon runner. Thus, he signed an amateur contract, and after nearly 2 years playing with the reserve team, he was called up to debut with the first team just as they were relegated to the 3rd division. Any other player might have seen this as a cause for frustration, but Kanté is not like others. He kept his head down, gave his all on the field, and by the end of the season he was named later Most clubs are too busy looking for the next disaster when the next Kanté is the one who would actually solve all their problems. Fortunately for him, it didn't matter how many critics considered him clumsy, insisting that all he did was run like a headless chicken. One club finally saw through all of that and recognized they had found gold. About 200 miles away, Leicester City had just finished a season in which they missed out on promotion to the Premier League by 4 points. Despite Kanté insisting that he didn't have the ability to play at a professional level, the moment Leicester City's officials saw him, they were convinced he could make the difference they needed. They did everything possible to sign him, and by the end of the season, he wasn't just the only player in the team to play every league match. He was also named in the team of the season and awarded the league's best new player. However, what truly marked a turning point in his career was when Steve Walsh, one of England's top scouts, decided that Kanté was the player Leicester needed. Walsh, who had discovered players like Jamie Vardy and Riyad Mahrez, reviewed all available data on Kanté and realized he had found a blind spot in the scouting system. Convinced that Kanté was playing far below his level, Walsh watched him in person and was impressed to see how there seemed to be two Kantés on the field. Eventually, Walsh convinced Leicester to sign Kanté for €8 million, making him the most expensive transfer in Caen's history. Just a few matches later, manager Claudio Ranieri was already calling Walsh to thank him, saying he would never doubt his judgment again. By mid-2016, the impossible happened. Leicester City won the Premier League, an achievement with 5-0-0-0 to 1 odds. During that season, Kanté completed 175 tackles, 31 more than any other player in the league, and made 157 interceptions, 15 more than anyone else. Combining these two aspects, Kanté was the player who recovered the most balls across Europe. It was no exaggeration when Sir Alex Ferguson stated midway through the season that Kanté was by far the best player in the league. At the end of the season, he was named in the Premier League Team of the Year and chosen as Leicester's Player of the Year. Following his success with Leicester, several European clubs, including PSG, Barcelona, Manchester City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, showed interest in Kanté. In the end, Chelsea was the club that secured his signing. Wearing the number 7 on his back and playing a deep midfield role, Kanté fit perfectly into the team. A year after Chelsea finished 10th in the league, Kanté helped bring the title back to London. Although Kanté's league performances were exceptional, his standout moment came in the FA Cup quarterfinals, in a match that became known as the day Kanté humiliated Paul Pogba. As noted by BBC football writers, Kanté was everywhere, starting attacks, disrupting the opponent's moves, and crowning another magnificent performance with the winning goal. Pogba simply couldn't get into the game, leading fans to start chanting that it was a waste of money to sign Pogba for a record FA at the end of the season. Kanté was named PFA Player of the Year, succeeding Mahrez, who had won it the previous season. As a result, he became the first player to win back-to-back league titles with different clubs since Eric Cantona in 1993. He also became the first player to win the PFA Player of the Year award in consecutive seasons with different clubs. Additionally, he was named Footballer of the Year by the FWA and won the Premier League Player of the Season award. On July 15, 2018, Kanté completed his ascent to the pantheon of great footballers by winning the World Cup with France. For most of the tournament, his task was simple: stop Lionel Messi, Kevin De Bruyne, and Luka Modric. What truly sets Kanté apart is his modesty and ability to remain a simple guy despite his achievements. After the final, while his teammates celebrated on the field, Kanté stayed on the sidelines. When the moment came to lift the trophy, he remained in the background, too shy to step forward. His teammates noticed this and handed him the trophy to ensure he enjoyed the moment. N'Golo Kanté is a footballer who has shown that humility and hard work can take you to the top without the need for ostentation. He is an example for all those who have ever felt overlooked or undervalued. His story is a reminder that sometimes, the true heroes are those who prefer to stay in the background, letting their actions speak for them. N'Golo Kanté is currently playing for Ittihad, a club in the Saudi Pro League. His move to the Saudi team in 2023 was part of a series of transfers involving several high-profile European players, marking a significant shift in his career trajectory. After several brilliant years at Chelsea, where he established himself as one of the best midfielders in the world, Kanté decided to join the Saudi League, a destination that has attracted several players in the latter stages of their careers. At Al Ittihad, Kanté has quickly adapted to the new environment, demonstrating that his style of play remains highly effective, even in a league that is still developing compared to the major European leagues. Despite initial concerns about how his style would fit in a league with a different pace, Kanté has maintained his performance level, playing a crucial role in the team's defensive structure and transitions. His presence has elevated the level of Ittihad, a club that, although historically successful in Saudi Arabia, now has ambitions for greater international recognition thanks to recent investments. Despite his recent move to Saudi Arabia, rumors have already emerged about a possible return of Kanté to Europe. These rumors have been fueled by several factors: his still high competitive ability, the growing interest of some European clubs in experienced players for specific roles, and the uncertainty about the long-term stability of players' careers in the Saudi Pro League. There has been speculation that clubs in the Premier League, and even in Serie A, might be interested in bringing Kanté back, although no concrete offers have been made so far. However, any future transfer will largely depend on how the current season unfolds in Saudi Arabia and Kanté's personal decisions. At 33 years old, Kanté is at a stage in his career where stability and off-field opportunities, such as personal and business projects, could influence him as much as sporting challenges. The growing influence of Saudi football in the global market could also be a determining factor in his decision to stay longer in the region or seek a return to a more competitive stage in Europe. For now, Kanté remains a key player at Ittihad, and his experience is invaluable as the club seeks to solidify its position both nationally and in continental competitions. That's all for today. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for our next exciting content about the world of sports. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments. See you next time.